Hi everyone, welcome to the Internet Storyteller, where I share the latest, greatest, and sometimes the most horrific stories of the internet. How have you guys been? Please do like and subscribe if you want to support this channel. Thank you so much. And as always, a link to the story for each story will be in the description below. So once again, we're returning to Entitled Parents, and the first story that we have is Entitled Kid Nearly Stabs Me. Entitled Mom Blames Me. Wow, okay. So I used to fence. Now, for some reason, fencing swords, foils, and sabers are still built as thrusting swords, and so they have a very sharp point covered with a rubber guard. This does mean, however, that being poked with one hurts a lot less than it would if it was uncovered. Fencing swords are also very flexible, and when you see pictures of the sport, it can look like the blade is about to snap. That has happened in the past and at the World Championships in 1982. That did lead to the death of a defending Olympic gold medalist. Oh wow. So this story of an entitled mom and entitled kid takes place at a summer school for kids I used to help run at a local recreation center. Now, entitled kid was a very bad kid. While most of the kids in the classes slowly improved over the fortnight-long course, he did not. In the bracket-style tournaments we would run at the end of each day, we'd always put him in the first match because we knew it would be over the fastest. He just refused to learn. When we tried to teach him technique and wean him off the wiper technique, which was swinging your sword back and forth like a windshield wiper, he would adamantly refuse. He would go around whacking people across the back of the knees with his sword, which was incredibly painful, let me tell you. We quickly realized that we were in fact being used as a daycare center by his mom. She had the money to pay for our course, so now he was our problem. So we retaliated. I mentioned how we dealt with him at the end of the day, but we were also not afraid to put him in timeouts, send him home early if he was being too disruptive, or give him non-equipment training. It is also pertinent to mention that this kid was 12 years old. We're not talking about some tiny brat. This is a bona fide preteen causing havoc. So we come to one of the last days of the class, which were lessons and more full tournaments to allow the kids to use what they had learned. Through sheer dumb luck, this kid wins one of the tournaments for the not very talented kids, and so we give him the option of fighting one of the instructors, mainly so the kids can go home and be like, "Mommy, I beat the instructor." This kid, who had a personal dislike for me, chooses me. I go to suit up and come back, take up position, and the match begins. I'm not doing too much, mainly parrying his more blatant attacks to encourage him to be less wild. And then he steps in, uses his glove to bat away my sword, and hits my chest. Very illegal all over, but the problem is that the point of his sword sinks into my chest piece. Now, this is a foil. It weighs about 500 grams, and I'm wearing a heavier instructor's jacket, which has a plastic foam lining to make it more bearable to be hit frequently. Thing is, the jackets are not really designed for a direct stab from an uncapped sword. So the blade is sinking into my jacket, and the kid is a weak little brat, but he is actively trying to push the sword deeper, putting his undeveloped muscles behind his thrust. So I grab his blade. They're square, so it's not going to cut my hand or anything, and pull the sword out of his hand, tossing it aside. It turns out that he knew we would check for the cap, so he had loosened it so he could shake it off during the match and then fight without it and hope we didn't notice. He must have shaken it right before he came at me. The one rule we repeated over and over and over is that you never, ever, 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 ever uncap your sword. That is an immediate dismissal from the course with no refund for your parents. So we call his mom in. She looks very unhappy to have been pulled off her shopping spree. She literally said that to us. My boss and I take her into the office while the other instructors continued the competition. Entitled Kid was sitting in the office, looking very sorry for himself. Now, the characters involved in this conversation are myself, the entitled mom, and the boss. The boss says, "Ma'am." Entitled mom says, "Well, this isn't surprising. My son has been telling me all about how much you two have been bullying him on this course, not letting him have any fun, excluding him from games, telling him off." Boss says, "Ma'am, your son has been incredibly badly behaved throughout this entire course. We are well within our right to discipline him for his own safety and for the safety of others. Furthermore, this is a fencing class, not a free-for-all." Entitled mom says, "It's sword fighting. It's meant to be fun. And besides, he's never done it before, so you're just punishing him for not being very good." Boss says, "Ma'am, you've been called in because we have to remove your son from the course." Entitled mom says, "But there's 4 days left." The boss says, "We're well aware of that, but today your son broke a very important rule, one that put one of my instructors in danger." Entitled mom says, "And what authority do you have to kick him out? This is a public building. Are you discriminating against him?" At this point, I pull out the consent form she signed on day 1. I say, "Ma'am, when you enrolled your son, you signed this form. On page 3, all the rules of the course are listed, as well as the penalty for breaking each rule. As you can clearly see here, the penalty for uncapping your sword is removal from the course. That's why we called you in. Your son took the guard off his sword and proceeded to stab someone with it. He could have really hurt someone." Entitled mom says, "My son would never do that. It must have been an accident that you are punishing him for. You really need to be more careful with your equipment. You are putting these children in danger." The boss says, "I have maybe 35 witnesses, and those guards are incredibly hard to remove, so the only way they come off is through deliberate tampering." Entitled mom says, "Well, if you are removing my son, I want my money back." I say, "Sorry, ma'am. The contract you signed clearly states that if a child is removed from the course due to their behavior, the signee is not entitled to a refund." Entitled mom says, "Well, I didn't know that. I didn't read the whole thing." Now, this document was 4 pages of double-spaced A4 paper, single-sided. I say, "That's your problem." Entitled mom says, "I'll sue." Boss says, "And say what? You signed a contract you didn't read? Please just get your kid out of my class." We never saw Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid after that. However, our course and my boss's fencing school, which was his full-time job, did receive a bunch of negative online reviews, all from anonymous accounts leaving reviews for the very first time. Too long didn't read, a badly behaved kid at fencing camp becomes dangerous and has to be removed from camp. Entitled Mom doesn't take this very well. "Okay, wow. What do you guys think of this story? Yikes. I mean, I've always thought that fencing was a very kind of classy sport, but I guess, wow, there are real dangers. I guess if you really stab someone without that guard on, I mean, yeah, that sharp point can really penetrate, you know, through any protective wear as shown in the story. Okay, let's move on to the next story. The next story is entitled, Try and Steal My Dog. Hope you like your life ruined. Try and steal my dog. Hope you like your life ruined. This happened just about 2 years ago when I was in 7th grade. Now, I always carry a knife around me 24/7, except for school, obviously, for multiple purposes, either to help open things or self-defense. Whoa, yikes. So in this story, there's me, entitled mom, entitled kid, nice guy, and cop. I'm walking my dog through the neighborhood by myself. Now, to help vision this, I am a small 90 pounds white kid with a smaller pit terrier dog. When I was walking, I crossed paths with this child and its mother. This is how it went. Entitled kid says, "Look, mommy, it's a puppy." I, awkwardly watching the child because I seriously don't trust my dog around annoying little kids. Entitled kid reaches toward my dog and tries to grab her tail. I pick up the dog. Hey, please don't touch my dog because I don't know if she will bite or not. Entitled mom says, "It's okay. If your dog bites her, then we will just take her away." I, confused, say, "That's why I'm not letting her touch my dog." Entitled mom says, "You better let her pet your worthless dog, because if you don't, then I will take the dog myself," while stepping towards me. Now keep in mind, this woman is at least 3 times my size. I was now scared and didn't want to use my last resort, but I was seriously considering it. I say, "I suggest you back up for the safety of all of us." Entitled mom, "Excuse me, but you shouldn't talk to an adult that way." Entitled kid, "Mommy, I want the dog now." Entitled mom says, "We're gonna get it, sweetie, I promise." I say, "No, you're not." Entitled mom says, "Give me your effing dog now." I pull out knife. "I don't want to hurt you, just back the heck up." Of course, I'm the one unlucky kid because the second I pull that knife out, a cop rolls by and the entitled mom screams for the cop and he comes over. Cop, "Put down the weapon." I say, "She's threatening me." Nice guy walks over here. Nice guy, "It's true, she threatened him. He did nothing wrong, officer." Looks at me. Cop says, "You still have to put your knife away." Putting knife away, still watching entitled mom, while cop asks me, "What happened, sir?" Me, I. Entitled mom says, "He stole our precious dog and we were trying to get it back." Entitled kid, screaming, "I want my dog!" Cop says, "Give me the dog, sir, and we can test whose it is." Now, remember how I said I don't trust my dog around random people, especially kids. My dog is completely going wild. Cop walks towards entitled mom and entitled kid. Cop, "Now careful." My dog bites entitled kid's hand and then lunges at entitled mom and scratches her on the face. Entitled mom says, "Ow, you little effing bee." Entitled mom tries to slap my dog, but the cop steps in between and arrests entitled mom for attempted theft. Then cop gives me back my dog and well happily ever after. Whoa! 50 likes and I will post a picture of my dog. Whoa! Wow, this was scary. Whoa, when I was reading this story, I was getting excited because I was like, man, what a psycho lady. Yikes. That's like some sociopath stuff, man. Like I'm gonna take that dog. Oh my gosh, what a psycho. Well, You know what? I hope you guys stay safe, and hopefully you don't meet people like this. I mean, wow, that story was crazy. Okay, but I hope you enjoyed these 2 stories, and as I said before, if you like these stories, please feel free to subscribe to this channel, and I'll have more stories in the future. Thanks, bye.